So today is Saturday, July 20th. It's actually my husband's birthday today, so I should wish him a happy birthday. Not that he'll see this, because he probably won't, but he's currently out of the country, so wished him a happy birthday already. I wanted to share my ayahuasca experience. It happened a month ago on the summer solstice. The opportunity to sit with Grandmother Ayahuasca presented itself to me kind of out of the blue. It was not something I expected to be sitting with. Last month, the opportunity just happened to kind of fall in my lap, and so I jumped on it. The reason I'm making this video is for my children. I want them to hear about my ayahuasca experience. I want them to have an opportunity to hear about it if they choose to. I really only had one child that was very interested in hearing my story, and I did share my experience with him. But I wanted to put this out there for the rest of my kids and explain why it was so important to me, because ayahuasca is a deal breaker for my marriage. It's been incredibly difficult since I made that decision, and we were struggling before, so it wasn't like it's a hard one to explain. We were already in a space where I didn't know if our marriage was going to work or not. After 30 years, the last 3 have been so incredibly difficult. And both my husband and I would agree with that statement. So my marriage has been on the rocks anyways. And I did talk to my husband before I made the commitment, and he couldn't give me a good reason not to sit with the medicine. So I did, knowing that the consequences could be our marriage might end because of it. So I'm just being totally honest and upfront, because I think it's important for my kids to understand that I went into it knowingly, consciously knowing the consequences of my actions, that it could very well be the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. That makes me extremely sad. I'm not happy about that. It's not how I would want things to, not the way I want things to end. But I get that we are on 2 very different paths, my husband and I, and whether or not we can reconcile those paths, not that he has to walk mine or that I have to walk his, but can we walk these paths side by side together? I don't know. That's what we're still trying to figure out. So I went into this experience knowing full well that it could be the final straw that rips my marriage apart. And I still chose to do it. So that says a lot. I chose to do it because this medicine has called to me for the past 6 years. It was something that I knew in my heart I would do. And I just didn't know when or how the opportunity was going to come. And so when it did, and it felt absolutely like it was 100% the right thing for me to do, I did it. and I have no regrets. I am grateful, so grateful for that experience with that medicine. Just as I am with my peyote experiences, I am so grateful that I sat in that sacred circle, in those ceremonies, and healed and called back the pieces of myself that were so broken and wounded and missing. It's really, for me, the only way I can look at it is it's just, you're healing those parts of your soul, those parts of yourself that are so sad or traumatized or broken that it's made me a better person. It's made me whole, and who wouldn't want that for someone they love? Who wouldn't want the healing of a loved one? And especially as a mother, as the matriarch of this family, I have a lot on my shoulders right now. I have a lot of responsibilities, and if I did not take care of myself, I couldn't serve. I couldn't do what I'm doing. So yeah, I have had to be selfish, and I get why my husband thinks I am extremely selfish for having sat with these medicines and just said, I'm gonna heal and do whatever it takes for that to happen. So yeah, I agree. I've been selfish sitting with these medicines. For me, there was no other way. It's my path, it's my calling, and it's called to me for a long time. So no regrets. When I sat with ayahuasca the first night, so I had 2 nights with this beautiful medicine. The first night, after the second cup, which I will say ayahuasca compared to peyote was far harder to get down than ayahuasca. As soon as that experience hit, it was like being plunged into the most beautiful heaven, nirvana, bliss, beautiful colors and sacred geometry and animals, and just the feeling of being one with everything, which I've experienced a few times now, where you're so connected to every single thing out there. There's no more I. There's no more me. There's no I. There's just being, and being conscious with everything. So that hit me. That hit me really hard and fast. But at the same time, I could feel a terror, a panic. I could feel fear building inside of me, and a feeling of death, like my own physical death. What that would feel like. And it was terrifying at that moment. It was like I was standing in 2 worlds, like I had a foot in heaven and a foot in hell, and my body could experience both simultaneously, and my consciousness could feel both simultaneously. Like, I knew what it was like to stand in this bliss and nirvana and connectedness and know that there was no fear and everything was exactly perfect. And at the same time, I could stand in this the other opposite, complete, total opposite space of everything is terrifying and what the hell. And I remember trying to stay in balance of the two experiences, because it was so terrifying, the idea to fully experience one or the other. I just wanted, it was like I was on this teeter-totter, and I just wanted to stay perfectly balanced, because to tip one way or the other was just terrifying to me. So I was in that space, and I really started to feel like I was going to die, which is really weird now that I'm talking about it. But I felt like I had to keep reminding myself to breathe. I felt like I was out of my body, that I could look back down and see my body. And I remember telling myself, you have to breathe. You want to live, you have to breathe. And I remember taking breaths and then holding my breath for a really, really long time. At least that's how it felt. And then I was standing there looking down kind of on my body, and Grandmother Ayahuasca appeared to me in the form of a indigenous elderly woman, beautiful. She was by my side and said, you know, that I was right. If I wanted to continue to live in this body, I had to keep making my body breathe. And that if I wanted to see what she had to show me, then I needed to let go. And I didn't, at that moment, understand what she was talking about. But I could feel this teeter-totter going from being balanced and level and being perfect in both worlds to slipping to the hell version of it. To the feeling that I was going to die got really, really intense. And I was slipping more and more into that hellish realm of, oh my God, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever done. And I remember having the thoughts like, I have to do this again tomorrow. Like, I signed up to do this twice, and what the hell have I gotten myself into? This is like the most horrible thing I've ever done. It was, I could just feel the teeter-totter, like tipping to the hell side, and I'm sliding down into my worst fears, my absolute worst fears. Like, I could see them becoming a reality, and I panic. I just started to panic, and I started screaming in my head, or out of body. I am just screaming, and the anger is building, and I'm like, why the fuck did I do this? Why the fuck am I here? Why did I destroy my family for this? Like, this is not worth it. I'm not gonna live in this hellish state for the next however many hours I'm doing this trip. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's not an option. And I'm just screaming at Grandmother Ayahuasca to get me the hell out of here. Like, I don't want to experience this horrible stuff. And again, her answer was, well, then you have to let go. Let go. What the hell does let go mean? I didn't know what she was talking about. She kept saying I had to let go. I had to let go. And I'm getting more and more panicked, and like, what the hell? I just remember screaming, like, why? Show me why I'm here. Show me why I felt like I had no other choice and I had to come do this. Why? Why did I? So I'm just screaming. I'm so mad and so angry and panicking, and I'm feeling this descend into my darkest fears and worries. And right at this moment, the shaman comes by and starts smudging us with smoke. The smoke hit me. I took one breath of that smoke, and poof, I was like right back in my body, so aware that I had to throw up. And I grabbed my bucket and sit up and just start purging like I have never purged before. I threw up, and it was just the most disgusting, horrible. It felt like I was throwing up. I would use the word demons, darkness, pain, trauma, wounds, cancer, tumorous shit, stuff I was holding on to that was just cancerous to my body. Terrible, terrible shit that I didn't even know existed inside of me. So I puke and puke and puke, and I'm the first to throw up in our group that night. And I have a real phobia of throwing up, so that was in itself very challenging for me, but there was no like doubt in my mind. I had to let go. That was what Grandmother Ayahuasca was talking about. I had to let go of all this shit that was inside of me. And it was nasty, nasty stuff that came out of me, not just physically, but energetically. There was a lot of shit I let go. And I remember when it was finally over and I put my bucket down and I collapsed back on my bed, and oh my God, like I understood. It made total sense to me after that. Like, yeah, I had to let go. I couldn't carry all that shit I was carrying into the realms that she wanted to show me, into the visions that she had planned for me. So there was a huge purging that had to take place first. And that's what got me out of the hell. And then, oh my God, the nirvana and the beauty and one thing after another. It was like ancient memories, past life memories. Life and death was a huge theme that first night. I died many different times, many different ways, and was reborn many different times and in different ways that night. It was all about learning to let go and to trust and to allow and surrender. I mean, these are all they were just beautiful, beautiful things. It was one of the most powerful experiences of my life. And I am so thankful for it. I will say I was shown some of the abuse, some of the trauma that was passed down generationally in my family. Secrets that hadn't quite come out yet, but would be coming out very shortly. Kind of helped, the experience with Grandmother helped me prepare for that, even though at the time I didn't really understand why I was being shown some of the things I was shown. It made sense later, when some secrets came out about my family. So, God, it was perfect. That's what I kept saying that first night is, oh my God, it was so perfect how everything in that experience just flowed, and it just went from one thing to another. And there were so many tears. Oh my goodness. Cried and cried and cried. So much purging. Threw up many times. That first time was not the last time. And then we went outside at one point and laid on the grass, and it was the solstice. So the sky was so light, full of clouds. We couldn't see any stars that first night, but it was just It was so beautiful. And just laying on Pachamama and feeling the energy of the earth and the way the trees looked silhouetted against that beautiful light sky. I'll never forget that. And that connection, the feeling just being connected to everything. It was incredible. And then just being shown little glimpses of my life and future. If I choose it. So after the first night, then I also sat with Kambo, frog medicine. So I have scars here, and I have scars here. Your skin is burned, and then the frog medicine is put in the burns, and you drink a lot of water and you purge and release. And I'm really, really glad I sat with that medicine as well. It was like the cherry on top of the ayahuasca experience. So the next day, after we'd had some food and we all gathered again in the evening for our second night with Grandmother, it was kind of the same. Started out almost exactly the same. As soon as I took the second cup of medicine, I was just thrown right into the visions. Started out kind of the same way, being in heaven and hell, feeling that balance of the two. And it felt like I just barely took the medicine inside me, and I started to feel really, really sick. And Grandmother again said, "You have to let go." And I remember talking to her like, I don't want to. I don't want to let go. And she's like, "Well, that's okay. You can be miserable as long as you want to. But, in order to see the stuff I want to show you, just like before, you have to let go. You can't carry this shit with you to these other realms." And so I had this internal struggle again because I didn't want to throw up. I didn't want to get rid of the medicine, yet that's what I had to do in order to see what she wanted to show me. And so I fought it a little bit that second night. It wasn't as spontaneous and quickly released as it was the first night. I fought it, tried to keep it inside me until it was pointless and purged again, just like the night before. A whole new layer of shit came out, and threw up till I could not throw up anything, until it felt like every ounce of it was out of me, and collapsed back down on my bed. And that is when the most incredible, beautiful visions of my whole entire experience happened, was after that. And she was like, Grandmother Ayahuasca was so just amazing and beautiful, and just knew exactly what I needed to see, what I needed to hear, what I needed to experience. And she gave me a really, really incredible gift that second night. It was so I've been reading a lot about sexual energy and sexual alchemy, sexual magic, and it's probably because of that second night with Grandmother. It was a very sensual experience, orgasmic. Yeah, it was orgasmic. It was fucking incredible. Wow, I just never expected that. Like, holy shit, it blew my fucking mind. what I experienced that second night was just, God, there aren't words, really, other than nirvana and bliss and orgasmic and sensual and beautiful. Dancing with my twin flame, that energy absolutely came to me. We had a beautiful exchange of energy, and it was stunning. Like, and I know that when I get the opportunity to sit with ayahuasca again, that it's not going to be the same. You're shown what you need to see at that moment in time, and that's good. I would still do it again in a heartbeat. It was the most incredible experience, and I am so grateful for it. I am so sorry that it had to be a deal breaker for my marriage. I'm sorry that it couldn't have been done with mutual support, and maybe there will be a time when that can happen. One of the things I was shown that last night was that my marriage can heal if we both want it to. But I can't give up this path either. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I will be forever grateful and no regrets about this experience. The lessons that I've learned and have taken away from it, I couldn't have gotten any other way. And I'll just always be so, so grateful. And I pray it's not the last and only time I sit with that medicine. I hope I get to do it again, and soon. Hope that I can come to some kind of compromise or terms within my marriage so that can take place, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. So trust. I just have to trust Spirit, that it will continue to lead and guide me, and just keep taking that leap of faith that I'm on the right path for me, and that my children and everyone else will benefit through my healing, because that's what this is all about. It's about getting my soul parts back. It's about getting my wounds healed and my traumas, abuse, getting that fixed. So anyways, maybe I will do a part 2 and share a little more details, or maybe not. I don't know. But I feel good. I feel like I've shared what I wanted to share for the most part, and got the weight off my chest. My kids will have a little bit of a explanation as to why Mom had to sit with this medicine and do what I did. It called to my heart. It called to my heart for a long time, and I finally answered that call, and I am so, so grateful. Will always be grateful. It was worth it. And we should have the freedom to use these kind of modalities. It's insane that they're not available as widely as they could be. All right. Aho.